And it's another edition of New Music today here on the WePodcast Network. I'm Corey Robertson. There has been an amazing music scene in the Windsor, Essex County for quite some time, and an amazing broadcasting history to have documented it for quite some time as well. And very pleased to be joined by Greg Gnyp.
Hi, buddy.
How you doing, pal?
I'm awesome. I haven't seen you in a dog's age.
It's been. We're on the internet. You can. It's all right.
It's crazy though. I mean,
I know a live mic is a dead mic is a live mic. Don't drop the F-bomb.
And that's the thing. And it's kind of like I'm like, oh no, I can say that, but then tomorrow I can't say it. So it's like, I'm screwed up.
So Greg has been part of the local broadcasting scene for, my gosh, we got to be coming close to 30 years now.
Thanks.
Maybe 25 years.
I started when I was 4. So no, it's I mean, I did college radio at CJAM I started there in '86.
Right.
But then I started 89X in 91. So it's been a long time.
And now on 93.9 The River.
Yep. Well, actually, yeah, and back on 89X again as well. So it's kind of been fun. It's like
double duty.
It's kind of fun though. Like it was funny because when I went back on 89X, they're like, can you think about what a 25-year-old guy's like? And I'm like, sex, drugs, rock and roll. I'm 51 and getting divorced. I like the same things.
It doesn't change.
Yeah, I just have gray hair and I can't do it as much.
That's exactly. I can't do anything. I can't keep up. I can do it. I just can't keep up.
Yeah, and then my back hurts. It's like I'm like. Right. So what is a 25-year-old? They like it just more and faster.
Yeah.
It's just,
Let's start at the start with CJAM. That's got to be some fun times. You were going to University of Windsor, alma mater for both of us.
Yeah.
And I did a small amount of time on CJAM myself, and what a cool place.
Oh my God! You know what? I think it should be mandatory that everybody has to listen to college radio. Mm-hmm. I really do, because college radio is just free form. It's it's anything goes. I mean, within reason, because there's still the rules of CanCon and the CRTC. Sure. But it's liberating. It's a fun thing. I mean, I've been out of it I graduated in 91. Mm-hmm. I still listen to CJAM all the time. People are always like, well, you must like. I'm like, no, I drive around, and it's funny because now that I live downtown again, it's awesome. I pick up CJAM. So back when I was in South Windsor, sometimes I'd have my car leaning this way and doing stuff like that. But now it's. There's times where I just go, I haven't heard this song in forever. This is just awesome.
Yeah, right. There was back 89, 90, and then came 1991, and there was a radio station in Windsor. There were CJOM 88.7 on the FM dial. I think they might have called themselves Laser at the time.
Laser rockin', less talkin'. That was their slogan.
And then one day in 1991, it was like this musical just revolution that hit music. It hit radio. 89X was born of the same time that the Nevermind album comes from. Yeah. That whole year, everything changes.
Well, and that was the thing. That was the crazy part, because it was Greg St. James, Lex Cooney, and Lem Payne. They came over from Detroit and they went, listen, here's a station that's kind of just middling along. Just, your grandmother didn't listen to it a lot of times. But, it was there. And they said, can we go on 4 hours a day? And we're going to play this new music. And the program director at the time, or the station manager at the time, said, yeah, well, sure, why not? If you can make some money at it. Then it went from 4 hours. It went to 6 hours. It went to 10 hours. And then I remember all of a sudden they said, listen, on Tuesday, we're going to go 24 hours. And it was like the panic set in, because everybody's like, now we got to find employees.
What is a Jane's Addiction? What is this? What is that? I don't understand.
Well, and that was the thing. And funny you say Jane's Addiction, because the very first song of the 24-hour period was you hear Jane's Addiction going, here we go, bam. And personally, I thought it should have been the Lunatics Have Taken Over the Asylum from Fun Boy 3, but Jane's Addiction was the first song of the 24-hour period. And back in those days, I was so lucky to get hired on to do overnights, which sounds really weird. But I had a program director who looked at me and said, listen, there's categories of songs. A's are going to be the song that are our most important song you play, right? The B's, the C's. And then he goes, everything else is a suggestion at midnight. So I said, well, what do you mean by that?
Awesome.
He said, well, bring in your own music if you want. So I started to get to, I got to be the first guy that played Pearl Jam's Alive outside of Seattle.
Right.
I was the first person to put Rage Against the Machine's Killing in the Name on the radio because we were the first alternative radio station not in the States to play it.
Right.
Therefore, we could have the swear words. And, and I remember the phones blowing up, all these Americans going, did you just say fuck? Is that the word fuck? And I'm like, yes, it is. Well, you're going to.
I apologize.
And I'm like, and I'm like, and then the best part was, it was the, they're like, don't you, are you worried? The FCC is going to shut you down. We're like, FCC, it's like, we're Canadian. And they're like, and it was like, you could almost hear angels singing in Michigan going, we hear swearing. Oh, and it wasn't that we were playing it on purpose. Yeah. It's just, we didn't have to play, we didn't have to black it out. And it was kind of like this whole, Then we became the bad boys. We would be at festivals and there would be lineups to people just to say, hey, thanks for playing songs that they're afraid to in Michigan. And it was awesome. It's an amazing feeling.
Yeah. How does a kid from South Windsor goes to university? Yeah, had some fun on the college radio station. A guy's like, yeah, can come in the middle of the night. But how does that same kid get to a morning show on this radio station that now has become it's become this big Detroit thing, right? How does that happen?
Doing mornings, that would be bad luck. What do you mean I've got to wake up at 3 a.m? For the love of God. I hate you. No. I just worked. I mean, I guess that was the thing. I've
work
always,
hard. Right.
Yeah, I've always been the worker. I go into work. It's just, I don't know. It's just been my career.
Yeah.
How did it happen? Dumb luck, I guess.
Sure.
Just dumb luck.
So dumb luck. Okay, so I'm going to take that and go. We were talking a little bit before we got together here to do the show. Working in a couple of different radio formats over the years, and you see bands come and go. You see the one-hit wonders,
sure.
But you also see the bands that some single comes in and then people are like, I don't know about this Allison. What are they? Man, that'd probably be a one-hit wonder. Yeah. And then of course you see them grow, and Alice in Chains becomes
sure,
or maybe whatever the example is. We're talking a lot about dumb luck, and my question to you is, like, what does it take, to my local musicians trying to get a song played on the radio? What does that take? And there is a little bit of dumb luck to it.
A lot of dumb luck now. I mean, because here's the way I look at it like this. You were talking about Nirvana. So they released an album called Sliver.
It's Sliver EP. Absolutely. Right? Yeah.
So they release this album. I go see them play at the Blind Pig. 125 people there.
Sure.
Then they release this single called, It Smells Like Teen Spirit.
Right.
Listen to the first album. It's not that much of a different song. Why did it catch on all of a sudden? Why did that one song touch the core of all these kids?
Right.
Dumb luck, right time, right place.
Sure.
What about Sonic Youth? Mm-hmm. What about bands like that kind of were there before Nirvana?
Right.
Why was it Nirvana that became the band?
Sure.
Right place, right time. And I think that's what a lot of it is. Because, people say, back in the 90s and early years, like even early 2000, a lot of times record companies would go, here's your T-shirts. Here's your sweaters. Here, we're pushing this band. Well,
right. They'd send the swag to the radio station.
Record companies don't do that anymore. There's nothing going because the band, they're not making as much money. So you don't get
I thought I was going to get payola when I got this job.
Yeah, so now it's really a lot of times just truly dumb luck. I mean, you know what? If you've already been on Imagine Dragons, you know what? They've already had 2 successful albums. Sure. They're going to get looked at when their new release comes out. Everyone's going to look at that new release first. But a lot of times it's word of mouth now. It's internet. It's like, what do you mean that this video has been seen 12 million times?
So first, great example. First Imagine Dragons single comes to you guys at the radio station. Like, what was the process? Like, you guys have you sit and we certainly did that when I was in radio. We'd sit and you'd have 4 or 5 people you respected their opinions, and you just kind of played a song and everybody listened to it and discussed it.
Yeah, and what's nice about where I work, the way we do it is I can also just, I'm a music nerd. I am. I love music. Going to see shows. If I travel, one thing I always make myself do is I go see a show. Yeah. Last year I went to Iceland and I went to Italy. The Italian show, the entire show was in Italian. It was awesome. I didn't know a word they were singing, but it was fun. It was a bunch of kids up on stage and they were rocking out. I mean, it was. Then I went to Iceland and it was the same thing. It was like, here's these bands just playing, and that's me. I'm the music nerd.
Yeah.
And working with the River, I get to go, hey, have you guys ever heard this song? Just here. It's a band from blah blah blah, and it's kind of fun. So, I mean, it's not even that we sit around and discuss it now because again, it's the internet. I can send in and send it to 6 people and go, just listen to this song. It's awesome.
So how is the internet then, in your opinion? How's the internet changing the music business? If it's making records, if it's talking on the radio or playing music on the radio,
it's making music accessible. I mean, do you remember the days when you'd sit there and you'd go, oh my God. It's doing 2 things. I think the internet has done 2 things to the music industry. It's made people not music fans like they used to be. Because I remember going to Dr. Disc.
Every Tuesday we drive to Dr. Disc, new release Tuesdays.
And then I would go to Toronto. Mm-hmm. And I remember I dated a girl for a long time. And Jennifer, if you're watching this, you don't know how much I appreciate it. She would sit there and go, okay, we're going to a record store. And she'd go, I'm going to go get a coffee. Because I'd be in Toronto going like this. Oh, my God. And I'd go like, ooh, that's 45 minutes. And I'm gutting into the bees now. And she'd just be like, love you. I'm going to go spend your money.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to spend your money. I'm buying vinyl. Back then you had to go out and look for it. I had a friend of mine who said, oh my God, my daughter, she's such a music fan. Oh my God, she's crazy. She's got 12,000 songs on Spotify. Right. I said, no. She likes songs. She's not a music fan. Because a music fan, you go and you have to buy the vinyl.
Yes.
And you have to know who the producer is. And then you go and see the album art.
Yes.
And then you go, there's posters of it. Like I have,
yes.
In my house, my basement is a tribute to 2 things. The Smiths and the Verve. That is my whole thing. Those are the 2 bands. Yeah. If they said you can't listen to any other music and you have to pick a band or 2, those would be the 2 bands, and I'd be like, I'm fine. I don't need to hear anything else. Yeah. And those are my bands. But kids don't do that anymore because they go, oh my God, here's a new single. Download it. And I'm like, but it makes me think of what Sugar Ray used to do. Sugar Ray would write an album, 14 songs, 3 singles. And the 3 singles would be very poppy, right? And then the other songs would be these hard edge songs. And people would go, oh my God, have you heard? What is this crap? And I'm like, but that's Sugar Ray. They made you buy the album, and now
because they wrote Someday.
Yeah.
Someday. Yeah. Right? And a nice little drum click track behind it.
And that was the thing. And then all of a sudden the other songs would be these kind of harder edge songs. And people would be like, well, I don't understand that. I'd be like, well, that's, they were almost like the precursor to Spotify.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, but I'll argue with people that says, I mean, band's been doing that forever. Zeppelin did that.
Sure.
Right? I mean, Zeppelin's got a country and western song.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
They've got the heavy metal songs. They've got pure bubblegum poppy songs that they did that.
Sure.
And so you listen to any one of their albums front to back, and it goes through this wicked, wild, awesome musical journey.
Yep.
And for me, it was always I could learn to appreciate the true musical talent.
Yep.
That you can play those different things.
Yeah, and
Lord knows I can't.
Yeah, and I agree with you 100% there. So yeah, and I mean, I think that's how music changed, and how the internet has changed this. You know, I mean, think about it. Right now, you know, you have a musician who doesn't, you know, who's not on the airwaves,
Right.
but potentially could be heard on this show in, you know, Ecuador. Somebody could be going, and all of a sudden, next thing you know is that's how it is.
Right? We live in a world where a 12-year-old boy, or maybe he was 9, whatever at the time, uploads just him singing some goofy songs on his YouTube.
Yeah.
And Usher sees him, you know who I'm talking about, right? Usher sees him and discovers him and says, I'm just going to make the system work. I'm going to turn this kid into this pop star.
Yeah.
We've been doing it for a year. We did it to Michael Jackson. We did it to the Osmonds. So there's a formula. We can take a kid from Stratford, Ontario, and we can turn him into Justin Bieber.
Yep. No, you are correct.
Right? So that's the world we live in, where anybody can put themselves up on YouTube.
Yep.
And maybe somebody's going to see it and jump on it.
And that's, you never know.
Right?
It's
So, but now, with the internet, now it's also, I think it's opened up the realm of how I can listen to radio.
Yes.
Not just how do I listen to music, how do I listen to radio?
Oh yeah. You know,
Because now there's apps where I can get multiple radio stations.
I will get, well, that's the thing. There's one that I like. It's called, I think it's Radio Line. One of my favorite radio stations is based out of Germany. So it's like I'm gonna turn on today. I'm gonna listen to German pop music, and it's awesome. But I said, and it's funny because I work for Bell Media, and they have an app.
Am I supposed to do this when somebody says Bell Media? Is it no? Sorry. So I'm just egging you on now.
I'm like, must be good. But we have an app, and I get messages from, like there's a woman that has become kind of like an email friend of mine, and she'll be like, okay, you played a song, blah blah blah, and she lives in Rome.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
And somehow she found us online, and she's a big fan of the Canadian bands. Like, she'll be like, who is this artist? Who's this? And it's always leaning towards, like, it seems like the Canadian bands.
What are the newer Canadian bands that people around the world, which ones are people around the world asking, oh my God, who was that song?
I'm trying to think. Like, one of the ones that it's funny, and he's actually coming to, he's actually going to be at St. Clair College on November 15th, is his name's Scott Hellman. Nice kid. Good kid. Writes great kind of pop songs. But he's got this like weird little following. And, part of it is also his videos. He's cute.
There you go.
And I mean, let's be honest. Sometimes a little bit of good looks. That's why we've always done so well in radio. This is the face for TV right here, or the face for radio, I should say.
Exactly.
But I mean, that's the thing. It's like, right now you've got Alessia Cara.
Right.
Here's a girl who gets signed to Def Jam Records at, I think, 16. Then there's Ruth B from, she's out in the Calgary area. Rhea May. And there's these, and they're getting this following, not just in Canada, but across the world.
Yeah.
And it's awesome. I mean, it makes me happy because I'm a diehard Canadian. I am such a Canadian music supporter.
Yeah.
It's like, so when I hear people say, oh my God, I love this band, I'm like, that's awesome. awesome. Good job, guys.
I'm bringing 89X back into the picture here because when 89X through the 90s, after that launch, and once people got over and it became, I think it was obvious that 89X in the Canadian radio landscape became this true leader because of our absolute unique geographical place where we are. There's nowhere else in North America where I'll call Windsor a major city, but where there's two cities that literally border each other. Because Seattle and Vancouver don't border each other. No. They're close, but they don't border.
Toronto, Buffalo.
Exactly. So you guys had this awesome opportunity where you had this strong radio signal that goes into like what the 9th or 8th, 10th largest market in the United States of America, and you're playing bare naked ladies, and you're playing these Canadian bands.
But if you think about it, Cleveland gets 89X. I mean,
wow.
Like on a clear night,
sure.
Cleveland gets to hear, right? And I think about it, and I think about the way it worked. Tragically Hip recorded a live album at Cobo Hall.
Right, yeah.
Tragically Hip played the Palace, it was the Palace of Auburn Hills. Sold it out in the Detroit market. Bands like Sloan, when Sloan got signed to Geffen Records, it was the album Twice Removed. Brilliant record. It's a great record. They sold 35,000 copies in the United States, and about 15,000 copies were in the Detroit market. Yeah. So I mean, it's like, everybody else went across, the states went meh, but we played it. And people went to the stores to buy it.
And there are bands that will and Bare Naked Ladies is one of them, that will literally cite this little radio station in Windsor, Detroit called 89X that we would have never broken in the United States if it weren't for that one radio station. Well, and you guys were breaking down doors for Canadian artists.
And that was the thing. And and it's funny because, people will say, you guys don't play enough Canadian content. You don't do this. And specialty license. They don't have to play the 33%. Right. But 22 to 25%. And the thing is, you're right. Radio, you got to play the hits. You're still going to have to play the Alanis Morissettes and the Bare Naked Ladies and bands like that. But the nice thing is, who would have ever heard of Sloan in Cleveland?
Right. Right. I want to bring my a little bit more of the Windsor history lesson into this because, maybe a generation prior to that, it was a sister station of yours, AM 800, CKLW, the Big 8, that a generation prior to that, you got your Bob Seegers and your Guess Who's saying, oh, if it wasn't for Rosalie Tremblay at AM 800, we would have never broken.
I mean, and that's the thing. It's like, if you walk through our building, we have like kind of the history of the Big 8 up there.
Right.
And I mean, I'm looking at some of the stuff there and the autographs and the just the history where you're like, really? Diana Ross came over here to drop off a single. Diana Ross.
Doesn't she have a team of people to drop off singles?
But you know what? It was 1971. Sure. And it was like, things like that. And Bob Seger going, "Hey, Rosalie, thanks for letting me stop by." I can't imagine Madonna coming in, walking into some place going, here's my new song. And it's like, thank you. But that's what it was. It was like, I mean, the history in that building. They call it the Blue Room, and that's like they've got a bunch of stuff stored in there, and I mean some of the history in there. It's like if you're want to know about the Detroit music scene, there's stuff in there where it's like you can just sit and stare at it and go, there's the whole P-Funk album. Every P-Funk album from like the beginning to like probably the mid 80s. Never opened, and it's kind of like, oh, I love you. Every once in a while, I just want to take my shirt off and like just rub on it and just be like, I love you, George Clinton.
But that's what made him. You were talking a lot about the difference between a music fan and I like music, and that's what the internet has done to us now. Is it's taken that whole I got this awesome piece of memorabilia and it's autographed, or it's like one of a kind, or it's like the rare, oh look, pull it out, like the vinyl's actually red, or it's blue, or something cool like that. And now it's, like you say, it's Spotify, and it's like, well, that song's kind of catchy. Boom, I got it. Boom, I got it. Boom, I got it. And I don't like it anymore, so delete it, delete it, delete.
Well, and that's the thing, and it's like and I'm not saying this as it. I always have to say it this way. I'm going to discuss my ex-wife, or soon-to-be ex-wife, right now. I was going to go Satan. Just kidding. No, I'm kidding. No, but she didn't understand something because, I said, I am the music dork. And I have something that she was like, that is so ugly. And the Verve, back in England, is just known as Verve.
Sure.
Right? And it's a pink neon frame, and it's the ugliest Verve poster you ever see. And it's really not nice. And she's like, well, you can have it in your basement room. I'm like, good. Because it's going up. Oh, yeah. And when you turn the lights out and put a little bit of a black light, it becomes a completely different poster. There's 50 in the world. That's it. There's only 50 of these posters in the world. And I'm like, but she didn't understand the thing, because she is of the belief of, I like that song, I like that song, I like that song. Yep. Okay, I'm tired of it, no more. Yeah. And I'm like, but no, I like...
Greg, what was the name of that song with I Had Your Hips at 11 o'clock or something?
Yeah.
What was the name of that song again?
Yeah, and I would just go...
it goes do, da, 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 that one.
I can't remember it. Oh, my God.
11:11, the Ark House.
I would like to name that tune in 4 notes.
Hey, listen, you have another big passion that is other than music. It's pretty obvious that that's a big passion for you, but you have another one. You sit on the board of directors at the Windsor Essex Humane Society.
I do. I have been 5 or 6 years now. I mean, I have my dogs. I have my 3 dogs. I have my cat. And when they asked me if I would be interested, I kind of jumped on board, and I said what they do is absolutely incredible. But I got to be honest, I work with a bunch of other rescues too, just because it's all for the same thing. If you see, I said you see these animals sometimes coming in and it's weird because sometimes people will go, well, the Humane Society, they kill and they put animals down. And I'm like, yes, we do. And it's because people are bad. And people go, well, what do you mean? And I said, because somebody comes in and says, here's my 12-year-old dog with diabetes. And they're like, well, we don't want to pay for their medicine anymore.
But I also don't want to see them live in pain.
Yeah. No, sometimes I'm amazed at how many people just dump animals off, because it's like, you know what? Wow. I'm tired. It doesn't go with my new bag, my new purse that I have. So I'm going to get rid of this dog. It's 7 years old. How do you just walk away from an animal? Mm-hmm. But people do that. Or dogs get injured, and for a while there, I mean, Windsor, the feral cat situation was incredible. And, the spay and release, it's spay and neuter. You get the animals, you spay and neuter them, and you put them back on the street. And the nice thing is, they can't breed. So instead of 30 cats, then that group just gets smaller and smaller. Yeah. It's a necessity, and it's sad, but sometimes animals have to be put down. They're sick.
Yeah. How if I want to get myself a pet, what's the best way for me to go about doing that?
Honestly, go in, meet up with one of the volunteers. There's people there that are trained to find you your perfect match, and that's the thing. And it's weird because sometimes people will say, listen, I want a dog that does this. And then it's like, well, what's your lifestyle like? And then they go, and people go, no, you don't want you don't want a Jack Russell that's bouncing around, and you need to take for a walk, crazy. Right? And you need to take for 6 walks a day because that's not your lifestyle. Maybe you want a great, or you want like a greyhound.
Sure,
a greyhound. Like it's. I live across the street. I've got 3 dogs, and they are the laziest dogs in the world. It's kind of like come on, guys, let's go for a walk, and they're like. Okay.
We came here because you don't ever go for a walk.
Well, that was, it's right. So my neighbors across the street rescued a greyhound, and I'm like, you think greyhound, those dogs fly. Oh my God, they make my dogs look like they're insane. Mm-hmm. because, Luna's just kind of like, it's a couch. That's a floor. You've got treats. And I'm like, well, let's go for a walk. That's a couch. That's the floor. Treats. And I'm like, and she's like, all right, let's go. And that's the thing. The Humane Society is trained to go, here's what you might want more than what you think you want.
Yeah.
And sometimes you know exactly what you want, and then you just have to wait for that right dog to come in, or that right cat, or
Absolutely.
And and the thing is, you can get birds there, you can get guinea pigs there. It's not just dogs and cats anymore.
Cool. I really want to thank the Windsor Essex Humane Society. Second episode of New Music Today now that they've sponsored, and they've once again got a chance to win free drinks for a year.
Well,
free drinks for a year, man.
Well, I see that it says $1,200 over the year.
That's my little. Joe puts that up so you got to get the sponsor right.
Yes,
right. You know this.
Oh yeah, no.
So it goes like this. Well, how would you like to win a chance to win drinks for an entire year? It's your chance to win a $1,200 gift card from the LCBO while supporting a great cause. The Windsor Essex County Humane Society is back with their very popular Cheer for a New Year. The raffle has 5 amazing prizes to be won. Tickets are 3 for $10. They're available at the Humane Society as well as a lot of local shops around town, and the entire list of where you can get those raffle tickets is online, windsorhumane.org. That's where you're going to find all of those locations, and the draw is December 27th. Grab your tickets for a perfect stocking stuffer and have yourself a New Year's Eve to remember, or possibly
or to
forget.
I don't know.
So you got to get the sponsors right.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I'm going to need a little thing, Joe.
That
Get
was good.
up
That
there.
was very nice. That was well done.
Yeah, the old man still got it.
Yes, you do.
What kind of music did you grow up on? When you were a kid, what did you listen? What was in the house? What did what was always on when your parents or just you growing up?
So, well, my dad was not. My dad wasn't a big music guy, but I just remember the one thing my dad liked was the Russian choir and marches. So sometimes I'd come home and he'd be like, doon, 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 doon. And I'd be like,
what the world is going on?
Dad, I'll just march upstairs. Hey. Yeah. But my mom like Harry Belafonte, Johnny Mathis.
Oh, yeah.
So I grew up to like some of the crooners. And but kind of like a little bit of almost like that island flair. And of course, when I was growing up, I was a kid, and Kiss and Zeppelin, and my sister is 6 years older than I am, and she was the one who really introduced me. And I still remember. I think I must have been 10 or 11 years old, and I got to hear "Never Mind the Bollocks"
Sex Pistols.
From the Sex Pistols.
Yeah,
she bought it, and I'm 11 years old hearing this and this music. And I just went, what is this? And my whole life changed probably, at the age of 10, 11, where I went, well, that's cool. There's all this stuff. But then it made me go, I can listen to all these other things. And then that got me into discovering ska music.
Right.
And then going back and discovering the precursor of ska back, the 50s, like dance hall reggae type sounds and things like that. And it's made me just go and do that. Just be that the guy that goes. My mom always said, there's no such thing as bad music. There's music you don't like.
Absolutely.
And that's the thing. If you want to listen to Justin Bieber, congratulations. Do it. Love it. Enjoy it. I'm not going to tell you you're wrong.
Right.
Because that's your taste. That's like liking a particular beer.
Yeah.
If you drink it, it's not wrong to you.
Yeah.
I don't have to drink it.
Sure.
I don't have to listen to it. And so that's how I grew up. So it's like I've got some guilty pleasures,
Oh, that's next on the list.
It's
give me the guilty pleasures, because so far it's been wicked cool stuff.
Yeah.
I've heard Smiths and I've heard Sex Pistols. Yeah. He's Greg Gnyp. He's legit. Yeah, give me your guilty pleasures list.
Probably my biggest guilty pleasure in the whole wide world is the artist known as Shaggy.
Yes.
I
Yes.
I just
It's our lying on the floor.
yeah, it's oh Carolina, hola, and it's like I'm like really, but
That's the kind of stuff that works well in a bar on a dance floor.
yeah,
Oh,
but no, but it also works really well driving in the car, sitting like this at the light, and going oh Carolina, hola, and people go, and I'm like yes, I'm singing Shaggy. My windows are rolled down.
Yeah.
Shut up. And that's what you do. Or my other guilty pleasure, and it was kind of funny this year because I drive an older car. Yeah. I don't care. It's just cars get me from here to there. I'm happy. So I pulled up next to this minivan. And and I'm not bad-mouthing minivans. I understand it. But when you're like 20 years old and you're being gangster in your dad's minivan, and they're rocking out to something like Lil, I don't know, Lil this, Lil that, Jazzy Q, whatever. But it was one of those kind of songs. I just imagine the video. There's a bunch of girls dancing, and he's going like this,
making it
rain, and he's the Hennessy, whatever. And he looks at me, and the kid that was next to me kind of did this. And all I could do, because at the time I went like this, and I went, oh dear God, thank you. It went right into NWA. And I'm like, yes.
Rolling down the street.
I dropped the mic. That's fuck the police. You enjoy your lil, whatever.
Yeah, nice.
And the guy just looked at me and he just went, I'm like, yeah, you know what? Yeah, I'm 51, but yeah, you know what? Compton, baby. That's me.
Yeah.
And then I went to Shaggy again. Because I needed my street cred for 2 minutes at the light.
Have you found over the years, working in radio and you're listening to music, have you found you got yourself to a place where you had to teach yourself, how do I really determine whether I like it or not is irrelevant. I have to determine if this song is good and meets the standard of everything else we've already shown to be successful on the radio. Have you had to teach yourself that kind of idea?
No, I think because for me, I used to DJ in the clubs. So I started off 1984. I lied to get my first job in working in a bar, and
Faces on College.
Yeah,
I was there.
They're now out of business, so you can see how effective I was.
I was there. But yes, the clubs in Detroit. There's some big.
But my thing was, I realize, and I see this now because I have a friend of mine who's got a son-in-law, and he is going to be the next Tiesto and Moby and whatever. He's not good. And I keep trying to explain to him that he's not good because he is this person. Mm-hmm. I'm going to tell you what you like. And I'm like, but you can't because you're new at this job. So before you can tell the 150 people in front of you, you have to play the songs they like first, make a following, and then you can go and teach them your songs. That's what I learned working at Faces on College and Changes by Night and all those kind of places, because that was my job. Because if I could play an hour of music that I thought was the greatest stuff, and the entire dance floor would be empty and people would be going, please play Nine Inch Nails, play a Nine Inch Nails song, play Ministry, play this. And I could go, but these other songs are just as good, if not better.
If not better, yeah. No, but I want house. Yeah.
And that was the thing. So I guess I started doing that in 84. So I've never had to do it. I've just kind of been like, it's a good song.
Right.
It might not be, it might not be my taste.
Yeah.
Still a good song.
Right. Yeah. I want to tell you my Alanis Morissette story. So when I used to work in radio, I got a single sent to me, and it was the song by Alanis, Uninvited.
Yes.
So it's from the City of Angels soundtrack, Nick Cage movie, of which the movie, in my opinion, is also.
Yeah.
So the Alanis song, if you don't know it, oh my gosh, it's in this horrible minor key, and it's her screaming at her just absolute screamiest.
Yep.
And I get a call from the guy's name was Ryan from Warner Records, and he calls and he says to me, Corey, the only hot AC radio station in Canada not playing the new Alanis song. What do I got to do to get you to play it? I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, you're making me look bad because it's legit. It's Alanis. You're an Alanis station, right? It's number one on some made up chart somewhere. Yeah. And, we're Warner Records and you're not playing the song.
Yeah.
And what do I got to do? And I'm like, I said, Ryan, what you need to do is give me another One Hand in My Pocket. That's an Alanis song.
Yeah.
I got one hand and the other one smoking a cigarette.
Yeah.
That's a great Alanis Morissette song. So give me the next one of those.
Yeah.
And we're talking. This song's garbage. So, of course, we'll send you some tickets. She's playing in Detroit, and I think Matchbox was playing with her or something like that. We'll send you the tickets to the concert, give you a bunch of CDs you can give away. I'm like, what? The CDs of the songs that I think are. So finally, I said, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'll tell you what I do. I got no problem selling out to the man. That's no problem. I can do that. Just type me a letter on Warner Records letterhead that says what you just told me on the phone. Corey, you're the only guy in all of Canada not playing the song. I'm just going to put it in my own living room at home, and I'm just going to keep that forever as a little point of pride.
That's awesome. See, and but I get that. I do. It's, and that's the thing. That's the part that hurts me sometimes with music where, because it's like, people go, well, it's so-and-so, it's sometimes people just have a bad game.
Yeah.
That was one of her bad games. It's kind of like a football player. 6 games in a row, they rush for 150 yards, 3 touchdowns. And then all of a sudden they go up against the easiest team, 8 yards and 3 fumbles. And you're like, how did that happen? Well, but I mean, but then I think to myself about how lucky I've been, like some of the things I've had to do, you see that kind of stuff, but then I think about some of the adventures I've had with bands and music and stuff like that, where I'm like, like you said, how did this kid growing up in South Windsor, get to be sitting behind the stage at Pine Knob, now DTE, shooting basketballs with Perry Farrell? I don't know cool. either, but I got to do it because I had to go on stage and go, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Lollapalooza, the first one ever. Please don't throw the sod.
Right? Because of the Woodstock 94, they were throwing all the mud up on.
And that was the thing, and people would tear up the grass at Pine Knob, and that was my first time doing a major concert announcement.
Yeah.
They said, we need somebody to walk on stage at the beginning of Lollapalooza, before the first band walks on the stage, and you have to do a couple of announcements. And one of them was, please don't rip up the grass.
So you're telling them, I never even thought of that.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm thinking. There's some guy back there going, brilliant idea. Okay. But I got to do stuff like that. And it's like, and I look back on my career 26 years, 27 years later, and I'm like, holy crap. I think about Gord Downey just recently passing away. Seeing Gord Downey on stage at where the Windsor Music Cafe used to stand, and that was known as when he played there, it was the K Club. And the K Club had a brass pole because at one time there were strippers there. And there he is singing with a barrier so that people wouldn't go on stage to touch the dancers. He's there and he's singing, holding on to a brass pole. And that's the first time I saw him play any show. And that was the first time I had seen him play in Windsor. And I'm thinking to myself going, I've seen him at the Palace of Auburn Hills, and still, I'm like, how awesome is it to say he had to hold on to the brass pole at the K Club in Windsor to sing for CJAM. It was a benefit for CJAM.
That's cool. Think back over the 27 years. Has there been somebody, as a general rule of thumb, guys like you and me in this business, where we're pretty, nice to meet you. I'm here doing my job. I'm working. I'm a pro. But come on. Is there somebody that just made you really awestruck? I can't believe I'm standing next to somebody that was like, that's pretty cool. And I was, I got through it. But man, I actually, if I think about it, I was maybe a little nervous inside. I'm like, well, I'm about to meet, or I just met, or.
Yeah, there's been 4 times that I've kind of been like, that's pretty cool. Going backstage to Meadowbrook and meeting Morrissey.
Yeah. Oh,
and him handing me a T-shirt saying, and I'm like, I think I need to change my pants. I'm so excited.
Have you seen my basement?
Yeah. Just recently, I got a chance to meet Neil Young.
Awesome.
How do you not?
Yeah.
It's Neil Young.
Right.
So 89X used to do the 89X, the night 89X Stole Christmas. And I was going to go up and I had to do an hour and a half of the broadcast, the live broadcast during the concert. And the guy that was on before me, he goes, listen, I didn't get to this interview or this interview. You're going to have to interview Beck and you're going to have to interview Garbage. And I'm like,
Shirley.
Fine, that's great. Shirley Manson is just
Beautiful.
Yeah. So she comes up.
Uh-huh.
She comes up to do the interview with Butch Vig.
Yeah.
Well, I have my chair.
Right.
I have another chair there, but we don't have a third chair. So she just goes, "Oh, fine," in her Scottish accent and sits down on my lap.
I really did bring a roll of quarters, I swear to God.
You know, and it was one of those kind of things, but it was actually more of like, how incredibly cool are you just to be like, you know, because, you know, you see these guys and you hear bands and they're like, I only want red M&Ms. She was like, I'll just sit on your lap. I'm fine. I you know, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
But I think the best, my most awkward moment with a musician. So many years ago, Nine Inch Nails toured with David Bowie.
Sure.
They played the Palace of Auburn Hills.
New Year's Eve.
They did a weird broadcast. We had to be there. So the doors opened at 6:00 for the concert. I started my live broadcast at 2 p.m.
Okay.
I'm watching people bring beer back and forth and they're stocking things and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah, the employees of the place. Yeah.
Right? So I may or may not have snuck in some alcohol along with the people that were on doing the broadcast with me.
Yeah.
So I may or may not have been pouring myself a drink when this man walks up to me and he goes, in this little bit of an accent, he's like, what you doing? And I'm like, well, you know, I'm doing this broadcast, you know, blah, 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 the whole thing. And he's like, oh, you excited about Nine Inch Nails? And I said, well, yeah, but I said, I'm kind of more excited about seeing Bowie again. You know, he's like, oh, you're a Bowie fan. I said, well, yeah, I've seen David Bowie in concert 10 times. You know, it's always been, oh my God, it's David Bowie. You have to go see David Bowie in concert.
Absolutely.
And he's like, oh, that's great. You know, thanks for, you know, being a fan. You know, thanks for doing this. You know, I'm so-and-so. I'm Greg, you know, blah, blah. And he walks off. About an hour later, I'm crouched behind the booth. I may or may not have been pouring another drink. And I hear this, hello. And I'm like, hey. And I look up and there's this guy with a hoodie on.
Oh.
And he's got his face kind of covered.
Yeah.
And he's like, and we're talking a little bit. And he's like, I hear you're a big Bowie fan. And I said, you know, and again, I said the same thing. I'm like, how do you not love music and not be a Bowie fan?
Sure.
You know, I'm like, he's legendary. And he goes, I really appreciate that. And I'm like, yeah, no, I totally.
And you haven't looked up yet?
And I think the next words out of my mouth were, I like chicken. Chicken. And I'm like,
you're the kid who said I like turtles.
yeah, it's like part of me is like, did I just have a stroke? And now I'm talking to David Bowie. That was his tour manager the first time. He had been backstage just kind of puttering around.
Yeah.
He walked all the way from the back to the front where we were broadcasting from just to say thank you. And I'm thinking to myself going, and he's like, you know, blah, 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 the whole thing. Thanks for being a fan, you know, walks off. And then I'm like, about 20 minutes later, I'm like,
I had a microphone in front of me and a broadcasting.
Oh, no, I wasn't even thinking that. I'm like, oh my God, I could have got an autograph.
Right.
And like had that lying on my, and I'm like, and I'm thinking to myself going, I just met
It's better that way. It's better this way.
Yeah.
That's the story I was looking for.
Yeah, and
that's awesome.
You know, and to me and it's funny because I see, and one of the things that drives me nuts about social media, people get excited, right? And people say, "Oh my God, I just met Dierks Bentley."
Yeah.
I don't like Dierks Bentley because I'm not a young country fan.
Sure.
But I am the first thing I'm going to say if it's somebody that I know. Congratulations.
That's cool.
That's awesome because that's something that made you happy. You know, and that's the thing. I wish people would just accept that. Just you don't have to like or be as excited for them that they met somebody or somebody, you know, just be happy that they're excited. That's a cool thing. You know, I mean, there's people who probably went, David Bowie, big deal. You know, so what? You listen to David Bowie, whatever.
Yeah, like that one song that he does with the thing. And the
Yeah,
stuff.
you know. You know, I know that Let's Dance song,
Sure.
and that's good.
Yep.
It's something that can't be taken. You know, if you meet Dierks Bentley, that can't be taken away from you, right? You know, and it's like all these people bashing Kid Rock. Kid Rock is a brilliant chameleon of business and music.
Sure.
White boy rapper,
Yep.
rocker rapper. Then he went into kind of young countryish stuff.
Yep.
He's found his niche in how to go the whole kind of thing.
Yep.
Look at what Taylor Swift has done. I'm a young country artist.
Yep.
She ain't country no more.
No.
But she's
Nope.
You know what?
She's stay now.
It's God bless her for it.
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Don't bash her though. Let them do what they're doing.
I've said all along. Music is a very personal thing to people. Yep. It has, and it's powerful. It takes you back.
Yep.
To places and people. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, but music is always there for you.
I said one of the songs. There is a Canadian band, Finger 11, and the song One Thing.
Yeah, they just played in Windsor this summer.
Yeah, right. Everybody knows that song One Thing. A lot of people are probably tired of One Thing. But for that song will always remind me of the summer that my dad passed away. Because I was on 89X at the time. I would talk to my dad while I was on air sometimes. And then all of a sudden he'd go, "Oh my God, I better go cut the grass or, you know, do something because your mother will yell at me." But for some reason, that was one of those songs that would regularly come up in there. And that's the thing. Do I like the song? No. But I mean, I do. But it's there. But it has that personal thing. You can remember, you know, I remember,
Yep.
I remember being, you know, driving down here in church with my parents, hearing the Guess Who was on, and it all of a sudden they broke into the Guess Who song and said, "Elvis Presley has died." You know, there I am. We were getting ready to turn off here in line onto Cabana. But I remember it was a Guess Who song,
Yep.
and the DJ, it was in the middle of the song, and they didn't even let it finish just to break in that said, "Elvis Presley has died."
Wow. Yeah.
It's
powerful.
It's in my head.
Yep.
You know, along with the clown music.
And that's why, you know, I want to make music fans out of the new generation of music listeners. Spotify's a great thing. Download those things. It's a great platform for artists to make money off of when you do that. But here's the thing, kids, when you download it and you like it, then go and buy the record. Because trust me, you're gonna get what we talked about at the beginning, the art and look at who guested and played guitar. Well, oh my God, he's from that other band that I love.
But the other thing that I wish more people would do, and this is one thing, and there's some places in the city that are doing a great job, and they are working so hard at Villains and Fog Lounge and things like that. Go see the bands play.
Absolutely.
Go, the guy that's playing at Fog on Tuesday night, you know, I'm using Fog as right. How do you know that in 2 years he might not be the guy playing the Fillmore Detroit?
You got it.
You don't know. Go and support. I love that. That's the thing. Just go see bands play. It's so much more fun than
local.
sitting at home, having the Bluetooth on and that little song coming through the speaker.
You got it.
Just you don't want to. Why do you want to go dance to the same song every Friday at the club? Sometimes just say, you know what? I'm going to do something completely different. Take a chance, pay the $5 cover, see the band play. You might hate them. Or you might just go, I'd go back and see them play again, and here's $10 for your CD.
You got it.
I don't know how many times I've done that where I go, oh, wow, I just bought 3 CDs. You know, like I said, when I was in Iceland, there was a bar there called Hurrah. Hurrah is basically Reykjavik's shelter at St. Andrews Hall, like that kind of a feel. And I remember we walked in there, and they're like, it'll be $15 cover. There's 4 bands playing. I would have paid $50 to see those bands again because they were that good. I'm just in Reykjavik drinking a beer and watching music, and I could have been at the dance club, but it was just cool seeing, because I may never see any of those bands play again, or maybe if I'm lucky, I can go back and see them play again, or maybe they'll break and come over here. I don't know, but it's something that is a great memory, and it's, you don't need to go and bump and grind every night. Sometimes just go see a band. Just go see what's in. And this, we've got so much talent in this area.
Absolutely. And I couldn't agree with that more. Honestly, the talent in this area, honestly, it's what sparked the idea for doing this very podcast. And the whole concept of what you're saying, get out and support. If there's artists that you've seen on the show, and you like the 1 or 2 songs, and you downloaded something from them, go and see them. Follow them on their. It's not MySpace anymore. I think they're using the Facebook.com thing there now. Follow them on their page.
MySpace. Or they can send you messages on your pager.
Go and see them. It's like, go and see them play live, because music just makes you happy. And brother, you've been making people happy listening to the radio for almost 30 years now.
It's been fun. It's a good time. I mean, like I said, I still sometimes go to work and think to myself, I go, how awesome is this? This is my job, is to talk on the radio
about music
and talk about music, and I still get to go to shows. Like there are times that I think to myself, I go, I'm standing here watching a band play. It's my job.
I'm getting paid to stand here. This is pretty cool. Yeah.
I'll just interrupt you. I'll just say, when I first started at 89X, I was also known as the concert reporter. So I went to concerts. I mean, the worst I did was I saw 3 concerts in one night. I saw, it was Live with Angelfish, which was Shirley Manson's first band from Gut Right. So they played St. Andrews Hall. The doors opened at 6, so I watched them play there. Then I went to see a show, and I can't remember who it was, at the State Theater before it became the Fillmore. And then I went back to St. Andrews Hall to see My Bloody Valentine. Doors opened up at midnight. It was a weird night show. Wow. So I saw 3 concerts in one night. And I got to be honest, by the time I was done as the concert reporter, I took a break from shows, because I think I saw 500 in a year and a half. It's kind of like, after a while, you're like, oh, that's just another band playing. Thanks. Please just stop. I just want quiet time. But now it's like, it's that whole thing where I'm like, really? I'm going to go see a show. Okay, let's do it.
Right on.
Now you need to come for a show with me sometime.
Done. I'll tell you, you know what? Like, we don't have time rules here, but couple radio guys, we literally just keep talking all day long. We sure could. Well, maybe we'll have to do episode number 2.
You tell me when.
All right, we'll do it. So thanks again to the Humane Society for sponsoring the show. We sure do appreciate that. Check out my colleagues who do the weekly show here on the WePodcast Network. Always a laugh. I love those guys. Thank you very much for being a part of another episode of New Music Today here on the WePodcast Network. I'm Corey Robertson.